Behind the smooth voice of Nat King Cole, one of the greatest crooners of all time, was a man who faced fierce rivalries and deep grudges. Despite his classy image, Nat did not always get along with his fellow stars. In the glamorous world of Hollywood where fame and fortune ruled, even the most polished artists had their share of enemies. Some of the most famous actors in the industry became the target of his disdain. What happened between Cole and these stars? Why did such animosity exist? Let's uncover the shocking truth about the actors Nat King Cole hated the most. Before we dive into video, please subscribe to our channel. Nat King Cole, often admired for his charm and incredible talent, lived a life filled with both adoration and adversity. While his smooth voice won the hearts of millions, the realities of fame often led to personal struggles that were far less glamorous. Behind the public image of a charismatic performer, Cole faced racial discrimination, industry politics, and personal battles that tested his patience and resolve. As one of the few black artists in the mainstream music scene, Cole constantly had to navigate an entertainment industry that was largely segregated. While his music reached millions, he was still subject to the biases and limitations that came with being a black man in 1940s and 50s America. Even though his voice was revered, many doors in Hollywood were closed to him because of his race. This was a constant struggle for Cole, who had to fight for equal recognition and respect. But his troubles weren't only racial. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood often masked a darker, more cutthroat side of the industry. Personal and professional rivalries with other stars, many of whom were white, began to surface. Cole was known to have a strong personality, and not everyone in Hollywood appreciated his honesty or his refusal to conform to the industry's expectations. The pressure to maintain a public image, coupled with intense competition from other musicians and actors, created immense stress. Despite his talent and achievements, Cole found himself constantly at odds with others in the business. His smooth persona masked the strain of competing with fellow entertainers, dealing with prejudice, and maintaining his dignity in a world that often saw him as less than equal. The struggles he faced were not just personal. They were part of a larger, painful system that shaped his life and career. Now we talk about 6 names he dislikes the most, and why. Number 1. Frank Sinatra. The rivalry between Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra is one of the most well-known in the history of entertainment. Both men were at the top of their game, but their personalities and attitudes toward one another could not have been more different. Sinatra, often referred to as the chairman of the board, was known for his sharp wit, arrogance, and domineering presence, while Cole's charm was his calm and composed demeanor. Their professional paths crossed multiple times, and it was not long before tensions began to rise between them. The root of their animosity seemed to stem from competition. In an era where the spotlight was reserved for only a few artists, Cole and Sinatra were often vying for similar gigs and the same fan base. Sinatra, with his brash attitude and self-confidence, was notorious for believing he was the best in the business. He was used to being the center of attention and was not fond of anyone threatening that position. While Cole had a more subdued and humble nature, it was clear that the two were in constant competition for the public's admiration. Additionally, their personalities clashed behind the scenes. Sinatra was known for his loyalty to a tight-knit group of friends, often pushing other performers to the side. Cole, on the other hand, had a more inclusive attitude and did not play into the games of favoritism. This caused some personal friction between the two men, especially when Sinatra reportedly dismissed Cole's contributions to the music industry, which was something Cole could not tolerate. Though their rivalry never erupted into anything more dramatic, the underlying tension between Sinatra and Cole was undeniable. Both men were legends in their own right, but their mutual disdain left a lasting impact on their relationship and cemented their place in Hollywood history as competitors rather than friends. Number 2. Dean Martin. The relationship between Nat King Cole and Dean Martin was strained, largely due to their contrasting personalities and approaches to both their careers and personal lives. Dean Martin, part of the iconic Rat Pack alongside Frank Sinatra, was known for his laid-back, irreverent attitude and his effortless charm. He was the type of performer who did not take his work too seriously, often blending humor and alcohol with his musical performances. In contrast, Cole was known for his dedication, discipline, and professionalism, values that did not align with Martin's more carefree approach to life. Their animosity began to show when they worked together in various social settings. Martin's laid-back style often came across as dismissive to Cole, who prided himself on his meticulous work ethic. Cole was a perfectionist in his music, always striving for the best, while Martin, casual approach sometimes appeared disrespectful. The tension between the two was also heightened by the fact that Martin often surrounded himself with a close-knit group of friends, including Sinatra, who was openly critical of Cole's style and success. Cole, who was used to being part of the outsider group in Hollywood due to his race, found Martin's exclusivity and dismissive attitude hard to tolerate. While Martin did not openly attack Cole, his flippant comments and lack of respect or Cole's talent and work ethic often left Cole frustrated and bitter. The differences in their personalities, attitudes, and public images fueled an ongoing rivalry, which was amplified by the competitive nature of the entertainment industry at the time. Despite the tensions, both men remained immensely successful in their respective fields, but their strained relationship highlighted the underlying struggles and cultural barriers of Hollywood golden age. Number 3. Marlon Brando. The legendary Marlon Brando was another actor who found himself in conflict with Nat King Cole. Known for his rebellious nature and larger-than-life persona, Brando's attitude often rubbed people the wrong way, and Cole was no exception. While Brando was celebrated for his method acting and his raw, intense performances, he was also infamous for his volatile temperament and egotistical tendencies. This made for a turbulent relationship between the two men, particularly when they crossed paths during social events or on film sets. Their tension reportedly began when the two were at a mutual friend's event. Brando, who was known for his tendency to dominate conversations and make sweeping, often controversial statements, mocked Cole's more refined professional demeanor. Cole, who took his craft and reputation seriously, found Brando's behavior to be rude and unnecessary. The way Brando belittled his fellow stars did not sit well with Cole, who was accustomed to respecting the art and treating others with decency. Brando's arrogance was something Cole could not overlook. He famously dismissed the professionalism of many in the industry, acting as though he was above the rules that applied to others. For Cole, a man who had to constantly prove himself in a segregated industry, this behavior was especially grating. While Brando's boisterous behavior may have been accepted by some in Hollywood, Cole was not one to tolerate such dismissiveness. Their interactions never escalated to a major feud, but there was a definite undercurrent of disdain. Brando's tendency to act above the rest, combined with his lack of regard for Cole's professionalism, left a permanent mark on their relationship. Cole, known for his composure and respect for others, had no time for Brando's egocentric antics. Number 4. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier, a trailblazer in Hollywood as one of the first black actors to receive widespread recognition, had a complicated relationship with Nat King Cole. While they both experienced the challenges of being black in an industry dominated by white stars, their paths diverged when it came to how they navigated their careers. Poitier's rise to fame marked a shift in Hollywood, as he became the face of black excellence and a symbol of racial progress, something that Cole, despite his own success, found difficult to accept at times. The root of the tension between Poitier and Cole was not born out of personal animosity, but rather a complicated blend of jealousy, competition, and the societal forces that shaped their careers. Poitier's Hollywood breakthrough meant that he was now seen as the go-to black actor for serious roles, while Cole, who had already established himself as a beloved musician, struggled to break into mainstream acting and was often pigeonholed into roles that were limited due to his race. Cole's frustration with Poitier's success grew from a sense of being overshadowed by the actor's more prominent status. While Poitier received praise for breaking barriers and being the first to win an Academy Award for Best Actor, Cole was often seen as the talented yet secondary black star, confined to the world of music. The feeling of being stuck in a box within Hollywood, despite his immense talent, created an underlying bitterness toward Poitier's sudden prominence. However, it was not just professional jealousy that fueled their tension. Poitier's public stance on issues of racial equity sometimes stood in contrast to Cole's more private, reserved approach. While Poitier was outspoken about civil rights, Cole was more focused on maintaining a dignified image, leading to a subtle but notable divide between the two. Number 5. Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby, one of the most iconic figures in the entertainment world during the mid-20th century, was another actor who clashed with Nat King Cole. Both men were exceptional talents in their own right, Crosby as a crooner and Cole as a smooth jazz pianist and vocalist, but their relationship was far from friendly. Crosby's old-school, sometimes condescending approach to showbiz did not sit well with Cole, who was navigating the changing landscape of music and race in a segregated Hollywood. Their rivalry began to intensify during their professional encounters. Crosby, known for his dominance in the music industry and Hollywood, was often dismissive of newer artists. This attitude particularly irked Cole, who was working tirelessly to break down racial barriers in the entertainment industry. Despite Cole's growing success, Crosby seemed to downplay his achievements, often treating him as a lesser talent. Cole, ever the professional, could not tolerate Crosby's superiority complex and condescending remarks, which only deepened the resentment between the two. Crosby's behavior on and off the stage often reflected a certain arrogance that rubbed Cole the wrong way. While Crosby was more than willing to surround himself with a close circle of powerful industry figures, Cole, despite his rising fame, found himself excluded from these influential networks. This sense of exclusion, combined with Crosby's dismissive attitude towards Cole's genre of music, made their relationship particularly strained. On a personal level, Cole felt that Crosby's lack of respect for his artistry was a direct insult. As a perfectionist, his approach to his craft was vastly different from Crosby's more laid-back, carefree attitude. This difference in work ethic, compounded by the professional jealousy and racial tensions of the time, created a deep-seated dislike that neither man was willing to overlook. Though they may have shared the stage at times, their animosity made any collaboration unlikely. Number 6. James Cagney. James Cagney, famous for his tough guy roles and his larger-than-life persona, was another Hollywood star who found himself at odds with Nat King Cole. Cagney's brash, combative nature was well known, and while this served him well in his roles, it did not make him the most beloved figure off-screen. His abrasive attitude, combined with his penchant for belittling others, led to tensions with Cole, who was known for his smooth, refined personality and deep sense of professionalism. The source of their conflict was rooted in a personal interaction that turned public. During an event, Cagney made a remark about Cole's musical style, dismissing it as less significant than his own craft. To Cole, whose music was an expression of deep emotion and artistry, this was a slap in the face. Cagney offhand, mocking comments about jazz and Cole's smooth crooning struck a nerve. To Cagney, who prided himself on being an actor of grit and substance, Cole's music seemed too soft, too polished, something that did not sit well with the gruff actor. For Cole, this was not just about a difference in musical tastes, it was a direct attack on his career and artistry. He took great pride in his work, and the suggestion that his style was inferior was something he could not simply ignore. While Cagney's reputation as a tough guy may have intimidated many, it did nothing to faze Cole, who had dealt with much worse in Hollywood due to his race. The disdain between the two grew as Cole became more successful, and Cagney's inability to see the value in Cole's music only intensified their rivalry. Cole's refusal to back down and accept the condescending remarks solidified the animosity between the two. Despite their differences, both men left their indelible marks on Hollywood, though their strained relationship was one of the many untold stories of the industry golden age. Despite the rivalries and tensions that marked Nat King Cole interactions with these iconic actors, his legacy as a legendary musician remains untarnished. Cole's struggles, fueled by competition, prejudice, and personal differences, shaped him into a resilient figure in Hollywood's complex, often divisive entertainment world. Though he faced animosity from some of the industry's most famous stars, his grace, talent, and professionalism ultimately outshone the petty conflicts. Nat King Cole's music continues to inspire generations, proving that even in the face of adversity, true artistry will always prevail over rivalries and grudges.